Yeah, so yeah. All right, the coffee's kicked in, I'm talking fast. Okay, so Tracy asked me in the spring, like, what do you want to talk about? And I usually say tips and tricks. I'm like, I don't know, what do you want me to talk about? She's like, how about Rebel Design? I'm like, okay, what's that mean? So about 2 weeks ago, I'm like, what's that mean? So it's tips and tricks on steroids, all right? So what Rebel Design, basically what Rebel Design is it's what we're gonna use the tools to do things that it wasn't designed to do. I'm always looking for a workaround. I want it to do something. The software doesn't do what I want it to do. I'm going to find a way around it, right? So I'm going to help you guys maybe think outside the box, think about doing it a little different, and then I'm going to give you some tips of stuff that's in there that you probably didn't notice before, but maybe you'll know now, right? Honestly, I really want everybody to work faster and smarter and not work on the weekends. Weekends are for hanging out at home, do the work during the week, right? So the topics that I'm going to cover today is a quick and easy way to get a super clean AutoCAD drawing. We know AutoCAD drawings are huge. We bring them in, you spend a bunch of time in AutoCAD cleaning and purging and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You could do that. I'm also going to show you a difficult and painful way to get color or a grayscale background with black and white furniture, all right? Oh, and by the way, I probably should mention this first. There will be this PowerPoint and the recording. You guys got my recording. The recording will be on the briefcase at some point. Kendra's here. She knows this stuff. After the thing? Okay. So I did record this whole thing, me talking to myself. So it's the same thing with less mistakes and no questions. Crazy, huh? Anyway, difficult way to do this in grayscale. We're also going to cover some of the, just the workspace and how to customize your whole screen. And then we're going to do a little bit with key bindings and some graphical snapping. And then I got a couple of tips at the end that are just kind of fun, jazz it up. All right? So, warning, this is advanced. So I'm going to go through a lot of stuff pretty fast. So if you're new and you're confused, I'm sorry. Just think about this as like a pre-look at what you're going to learn in the future, right? So I'm not going to go through a lot of basic stuff. I'm going to assume you all know what the basic stuff is. Good? Are we together? Oh, point 2, I'm not a big fan of PowerPoint. So if I struggle going back and forth between the PowerPoint, that's, you would think somebody who's this good at software could do PowerPoint. Oh, it's not happening. Clean AutoCAD drawing. Get an AutoCAD drawing from an architect. It's huge, right? So I'm going to show you guys, I have one called Big Drawing. It's about almost 7 meg, all right? It's not really that big of a drawing. I mean, it's a big drawing, and I'm sorry if it's one of your drawings. I just went through all my files and found one that was big. So I don't know whose it is, to be honest. And here's my trick. And there's stuff all over the place. There's nodes out here. There's stuff. I mean, there's just stuff all over, right? I just need the shell. I'm going to go in and use AutoCAD Layer Off, right? And turn off the things that I don't want. So I don't need the carpet diagram. I don't need any of this other furniture, or I don't even know what that stuff is. Let's turn that off. They've got some hatching and, come on, I got to click on a dot. And some desk accessories. You know, and I'm not even going to, I'm going to put my own chairs in here. I don't need to know what the paint is going to be on these and what kind of corner guard, right? So literally just take out the stuff I don't want. I'll take these guys out too. All right? That looks pretty clean. You might go a little further, like I might take this out, but I think that might be a built-in. But you get the point. Take out the stuff you don't want. And this drawing, by the way, has 4 layout tabs across the bottom down here and all kinds of stuff. But here's the trick. I'm just going to type W block or WB, all right, for W block. And I am going to, first and foremost, not change the insertion point. Leave that at 0, 0. I cannot tell you enough. Do not change the insertion point, all right? But then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select objects, and I'm only going to pick the stuff that I want. So, been using CET too much, I drag. Look where the 0, 0 point is, by the way. Kind of this weird spot in the corner, right? So, there's select to my objects, and then I'm going to go ahead and call this, let's call this, clean, All right, clean drawing. Make sense? We'll just call it clean. And then, oh, I did it this morning. We'll replace it. All right, so don't save this drawing. Don't save this drawing. This is the one from your architect. You want to kind of keep this one in case something comes back, a little CYA. Don't save it. Close out of here. No, don't save it. Are you with me? Look at this drawing that I just made. Clean, 452K. It went from 7 meg down to 450. Right? Let me just open it for you. I'll just show you. So it really is, it doesn't have the layout tabs. It has one, but there's nothing on it, right? It's what I wanted, exactly. In fact, and I could actually do a purge on here. I don't really need to. And for some reason, and I don't really know the whole reason why, there's a couple dim styles in here. And if I actually did purge it, this is the weirdest thing, I saved it. It was actually 2K larger after I saved it, after I purged it. But it's still only 450, like 58K. Does that make sense? What do you think? Super quick, yeah.
If you had a bunch of X references in this drawing, would that work?
Yeah, it wouldn't, you would, as long as you didn't grab it, like if you turned off those XREFs. So if the XREF was showing, anything on there was showing. So just freeze the XREF maybe? Use layer.
If you create a W block, it'll take the X
What,
references.
it will, no, it won't take them. Whatever you select, right? So if the XREFs are turned off, like if you see one line from the XREF, you're going to grab it. That make sense? So yeah, that would be a great way to not have to detach the XREFs, just make sure they're turned off. Because if you can see them, what you see is what you get. You're literally doing almost like a copy and a paste of what you've grabbed.
So they are turned on. So sometimes there's a drawing for the tower and the walls, two separate, extras in one. So if you leave that all on and you grab it, it'll take both. If you want it, still get it.
If you want them, yeah. If you want them, then they would both be still attached, yeah. So it's a way that you, so like that one I had all the layers turned on in that case, but a lot of times they have tons of stuff that you don't need and the layers are off. Just grab that, it won't grab the things that are off. Yeah?
The weight of the file will change even if you turn off a layer or freeze it?
Nope, nope, it's still in the drawing. If you just turn those layers off or freeze them, the file size will be the same. Even if you freeze it, it will be, the file size is the same. You literally have to get rid of them. And the way that we normally do that, we do overkill, we do purge, we delete things, right? I mean, there's a whole lot of steps that we do usually, right? And this is just a quick way, just grab what you need. The most important thing is keeping that 0 point the same. Because when you export your furniture out to go back to their AutoCAD drawing, you need it to line up with their drawing, right?
So a side note on the 0 point in CET. So sometimes if I'm doing a PDF insert and I'll have my 0 point, but by the time you scale it, your 0 point.
The 0 point doesn't relate to the PDF. They don't have anything to do with each other.
Okay.
The PDF doesn't use the 0 point. That's just for AutoCAD drawings.
Okay.
So you're going to need to like make an X in your PDF or something, and line it up.
Okay.
Sorry.
So it also happens with an AutoCAD base, and your 0 point is like
A mile away.
right. And so
Doesn't
when
matter.
you open the drawing, you have to zoom.
It's-
How can you
So in AutoCAD, the AutoCAD drawing I have right now has a 0 point a long ways away. You really shouldn't have a problem with it in CET, right? Let me just go back here. So this drawing has an AutoCAD drawing attached to it, and you can see the 0 points right down here. And when I do my zoom all, it doesn't actually, well, it did now. It doesn't normally take into account that 0 point. There's really nothing you can do about it, I'll be honest, because you need to keep that. If the architect's 0 point is 2 miles away, you got to leave it there, because when you send your furniture back to them, it's in order for it to line up. Now, if you're never going to send it back, yeah, you can change your 0 point. I would never say that that's a good thing, but we do it when it's a stupid place for it. It's a random spot, arbitrary spot, and sometimes it's a long way off. Okay? So we just got to make sure that you use the same as that they used. All right? Good questions. Now, like I said, the important thing is don't change the base point, and don't save the drawing, so you have your original, right? And so now what we're going to do is talk about when we bring that AutoCAD drawing in, right? And you want to plot it. I've had a lot of people ask me lately, they want to be able to plot like the building shell gray and the furniture black, right? And so let me just show you what I'm going to do here. So I have a building shell, and I'm going to actually reload it real quick. You can see it's got some stuff going on here. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to do select all. How many of you have changed the layer colors? I'm going to just do orange, just kind of to show you guys, to a color, and it didn't work. Anybody have this problem? So what you're going to do is you're going to use the force. You ready? Right here, it says force. So I'm going to select the force column. Do you see where it says force? And then I'm going to change them to, let's say, green. What? So you got to force it sometimes. But I'm not going to plot these green. That's really stupid. Let's do them gray. So I'm going to grab that, and let's say dark gray. How's that? Good? That make sense? So if you have layers that are not obeying you, what are you going to do? Force them. That's right. All right. Let's go into paper view, and I'm going to put a 2D viewport in here, right? And you could go in here to my 2D viewport and, set the scale. Let me get it a little bit further out here. Lock it, put a border, say black and white, right? Set the scale. But the shell is the same black as the furniture, isn't it? And that's what we don't want. We want the shell to be gray. Ready? What I'm going to do is make a copy of this viewport, put it off to the side. And in this viewport, I am going to go into my visibility, and I'm going to uncheck visible and normal and turn on my furniture. So work surfaces, panels, electrical, storage, seating. That looks good, right? And in this viewport, I'm going to turn on just the building shell. And I'm going to switch this one to not be in black and white. And then all I have to do is position. I'm going to grab my position, grab that. What do you think? All right. You ready for the bonus tip on this one, though? So RevCloud, does anybody ever use the RevCloud? Let's say I'm going to put a RevCloud in here. This is my, change of the workstations that I want to do. I got to make this square. All right. I made a line type that's called red, so you can really see it. Got it? Then what I'm going to do is back in my paper view. This is actually the tricky part. I grabbed it right this time. Sometimes I'll be grabbing the backwards viewport, the black and white one. I happen to grab the color one this time. If you're having a hard time grabbing it, just resize it. So one of them, just grab it like that, and then you can grab the other one. Does that make sense? So I got the black and white one, right, the color one, and then I'm going to turn on my lines. Let's see. What do you think? Now, this is a workaround. I want this to be different. How would I get, what should I really do? I should send a feature request, right? Asking them, and I know, so after this, they're going to get a gazillion feature requests. This is a feature request. They're working on it. It's coming for us to be able to have something be like, one. I don't know how they're going to do it. I can never predict, but I want to be able to do this in the tool, right? So in the meantime, what do? Send a feature request, right? And then do this. So you could put your dimensions in the color viewport. Like if you wanted to show colored dimensions, I heard someone say the other day that they need to have their dimensions be colored. So everything's still in your regular drawing. Set the color of the dimensions to red if they're critical dimensions or something like that. And then you can plot black and white and red together. Sound good? So literally you have a color viewport and a black and white viewport. And it's actually kind of easy to, maybe I don't want to print this section down at the bottom. Is just as long as they're on top of each other exactly, you can resize them. Whoop. Don't do that. Resize them. Just resize both of them. Make sense? What do you think? Good? Like I said, it's a workaround. I wish that it really worked the way I wanted it to work, but until it does, that's what we're going to do. Good? All right. No questions? Brilliant. You guys are so smart. Now, I am going to show you kind of how to customize your work area, your workspace. All right? And this one is completely not sanctioned by the people at Configura. So this is, how many of you are like mostly Steelcase? How many of you are like Hayworth? All right. So when you're working, how many of you do walls? Like another fraction, right? So when you're working, I probably don't ever do walls, right? And I see the walls loading, right? How many of you are using any of these new extensions like HUN or OFS or all the little guys, right? So next thing you know is your tabs are starting to look a little bit like this, right? Anybody? You're like, oh my gosh. Now, granted, I have like everybody loaded, so you're not gonna have this many, but this is kind of annoying. First step, I go up to Help, Extension Details. Under the Extension Details, I like HUN. Oh, I turned it off in my last class and forgot to turn it back on. Turn off the smaller ones that are mostly catalog symbols. You can get all the catalog symbols from the catalog browser. They're all there. When you turn off their extension, the catalog symbols are available in catalog browser. So if you don't know about the catalog browser, learn more about that. But that's a really cool way. I don't have to see all the HUN tabs. I don't have to see most of the OFS tabs. I don't have to see the, there's a bunch of them, like even some of the Kimball stuff, right? You can turn those off if you're not using them. It's under the Help. How do I get back to my CET? I gotta exit out of here. So it's under Help, Extension Details. Now this is not the non-sectioned part. This is fine. People say do this all the time. But here's where I get a little bit off the rails. I'm going to Steelcase. I'm going to hit the plus right here. And I don't do any nurture. I have no nurturing in me. So I turn off nurture. All right? I don't do walls, so I'm going to turn off privacy wall, if I can see it. Does that make sense to you guys? And so now the next time I do a clean start or a reboot, you're not going to see privacy wall loading. So your restarts will be a little bit faster. Does that make sense? Now, if I want to turn this on, it's not like just turning off the tabs. It'll have to restart. So I wouldn't just like turn them off and on just when you're not using them. It's like more of a long-term thing. I'm never going to use this product line. Let's turn them off. What do you think? All right? Some things, if you turn one on, something else is dependent, you're going to get a little error message, and they're going to say, you can't do that. Go back and turn it back on, right? And I had someone say that they went in and they picked Steelcase like this, and they said, turn off all of Steelcase, and then they only turned on, because they only did, like, and this is just was a Steelcase person, they only did like Answer and Universal. They did like 4 or 5 different, they had like one dedicated client. So they just turned on the ones they want. Does that make sense? Now, most of us use more tabs than just like 6 or 8, but good. I also want to point out a button right here. Be careful with this one. I do this like all the time because it's right next to turn off. I sent in a feature request saying, it's so easy. Just move that button over a little bit because then you have to go turn everything back on again. Anyway, so that's a little trick to get it to load and open up. Oh, sorry. Load and open up faster. What do you guys think? It's a permanent thing on your system, and if you do turn it back on, it will have to do a restart. Yeah?
I've had some projects where the AutoCAD loads the furniture, like you bring the CAD plan, and sometimes it appears in the VOI, like some furniture portions.
Oh, that's a little checkbox that you need to, when you're in your CAD drawing, just make sure that you don't have this little import attribute data checked. Uncheck that. Okay, that's just a, don't ever check that. One, you can never modify that, and it's in the takeoff, and you can't add options to it. This, do you see it? So you just have that checked. Just uncheck that. Okay? What do you guys think?
Sometimes when I import a CAD drawing, probably a converted Revit file, there's like a weird wall that's in 3D or something.
You're going to have to turn off the show in 3D, or and sometimes you can say don't import 3D entities when you bring it in. Sometimes that'll fix it. Sometimes you have to go and uncheck show 3D. And then you're not going to see anything in the 3D view. And then remember that once you have unchecked this today, tomorrow, when you bring another AutoCAD drawing, it will still be checked. So that's your new default. So don't get freaked out when you can't see anything in the 3D view, because yesterday you brought one in where you unchecked it.
And then you say, oh, that's right.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then you get to talk to the chat, to tech support people again and get a little joke in. That's good. So it will remind you. But it does, that's the only thing I know to do that, is you first try it with the don't import 3D entities, and sometimes that works. And then if that doesn't work, go in and uncheck this.
And just refresh, will it apply it?
You got to reload it. Mm-hmm. The same with this one, display non-renderable. That's this right here. To see these lines in the 3D view, that's just display non-renderable in the 3D view. So this drawing doesn't have anything 3D in it, so it works out fine. Okay, where was I? Workspace. I was getting somewhere with this. Okay, so you can set up different. Part of the training is setting up this little component tab configurators, but you can see I have a short one that I like to use. How many of you have ever done a presentation and you're in here, let's see, you're in front of your client and things are looking good, right? And you click on something and they're like, what are those yellow things? What's going on with my panel? What are the, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? Or you're in a presentation and you move the panels and you click undo and everything, you're like, oh my God, I can't get it back, right? Anybody have that experience? Okay, and then quickly, how many are salespeople in here? I have 1, 2, okay. I call this my salesperson mode. I go to my design and I put it in demo, no edit, because you can't edit anything. I can't click on it. I can't place anything. I can't change anything. What do you think? So it's right up here under the pull down. See where it says, this is your workspace? Put it in demo, no edit. Do you all see where I'm pointing it? Isn't that sweet? So when you're demoing, I honestly, when I'm demoing for someone and I don't want to move anything, I will switch to that mode because I tend to like click on the screen and stuff moves all over the place. And so this is a great quickie way. Good? Now, I also have what's called edit work modes, right? So if I'm back in design show all and I can make my own work mode, right? And I just have to save one. So if I do a copy of the just show all, right? And I'm going to call it, Cate's fave, right? What I can do is I can say, I don't really like looking at myself all day long, so I'm going to take off my my Configura, and maybe I don't really need the briefcase. Maybe I don't need the price. Can you guys see up at the top how those are disappearing? Or, maybe I don't want to see certain buttons. I can go through here and, turn off in the 2D view. Maybe I don't want these zoom buttons. I don't ever use them, so it's not turning off. I'm not in the right place, I guess. So, does that make sense? You can turn buttons on and off. I can also go to the second tab, and I could say, use my users conference tab, all right? So the next time I want to do my custom work mode, I just come in and there's the tabs I want to use. Make sense? But here's where it gets really cool. I can turn off the component tabs altogether. What do you think of that? So if you're doing a demo, well, right now I can still move things because I didn't set it to clean mode. So let's go in here to demo, no edit, and make a copy of it. And this is a workaround. Demo, no edit. I'm going to make a copy. Right now, I don't know how to turn on the no edit function. There's some secret sauce in there, like that. So I have to make a copy of the one that's the no edit one. So do you know the secret sauce, Kendra?
There is no way, but yeah, we don't want you to edit that. We have to have a default. So.
All right, so there you go. So I can't like add demo no edit, but I can make a copy of it, right? And then I can say hide all tabs to make sense. So right now I have this super clean, no editable version of the CET. So if I'm demoing in front of the customer, what do you think? I can show them things, I can move around, I can't change anything, and I don't have any tabs over there. So for like a super clean demo mode, what do you think? And then I want to go back, I can always go back to, my regular show all, the way I normally work. What do you think? Okay.
Quick mention something here.
Yeah.
A lot of times we see users chat in that they deleted everything because they wanted it so clean that they actually deleted the actual way to edit the views.
I was just going to say that. Here's the one that I did the first time and I had to chat in. I was just going to say that. When you do this, under the visibility, don't get rid of the work modes one. The really good point. Don't get so super clean that you get rid of this, because to go back is a real pain. You have to go to the control panel and you have to mess around with it. So yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't. That's a perfect point, is don't get rid of work modes. You want that one. Don't go too clean. All right, so always leave that one in. All right, we need to, so you do have people call in support with that one? I kind of did, I'll be honest. All right? Really good point. You do want a way to kind of get out of there. See this little work modes right here? You want a way to get back. So, cool? Great point, Kendra. All right, back to my PowerPoint. Now, so that's the clean demo mode. Now I want to talk about custom tools for a sec. And custom tools, I don't know how long they've been around, but they're a way to, if you, it's up under your tools, about halfway down, or third way down, custom tools. It's got a shortcut of C. I always think the C must stand for cool Cate, but it doesn't. It stands for custom tools. And you can go in here, I forgot to clean it up, and you can add things into it. So here's my custom tools. So like I can have all these things, and how do I get them there? I'll show you. Let me just get rid of this image and text. So I go to my regular tools tab, and I find image and text. And can you guys see this itty bitty teeny tiny arrow? You guys see that little bitty arrow? The first time you click it, it will send it to custom tools. Cool? All right. And then you can actually grab that header and sort of drag it up and down to put it where you want. And this can live anywhere you want on your screen. In fact, I kind of like having it really tiny like that. And here's something that's neat. I think this is a really cool feature. If you hover over it and then hover over the command, so like if I hover over image and text and hover over label, I get a label. So you don't even have to open that little box up. Does that make sense? You can have it be teeny tiny, so off to the side somewhere, and just like stealthy go get your commands. Super cool, right? And like I have a lot of them in here that I really like, but, and one of them that I like is replicate. This is a new one. I'll show you guys a cool command. Some of you may have probably already used this one. It just came out, would it come out May? The circular replicate? So circular replicate is sort of at the very bottom of tools. And if you hover over it, it's called symmetrically replicates an object around a chosen point. Okay? It's way down at the bottom. Can you guys even see that? It might be off is it on the screen okay? Okay. So we know that we've had a linear replicate, which is like array, and we've had a rectangular one, but we haven't had a circular one. And I want to tell you guys, the first day that this came out, I immediately installed it, and I'm like, well, why the heck didn't you put it here? I contacted my contact in Sweden. I chatted into Peter, and I said, Peter, what the heck's going on? Why isn't it here? And he said, well, in the long run, the plan is to have them all be down there. So there'll be like 3 buttons down there, and this will be gone. And instead of adding it here and then moving it, they just went there first. I'm like, well, that's going to make my life difficult for a year. He's like, whatever, not my life. No, he didn't say that. I thought he could have. It would have been fine. So anyway, eventually, I think that these other replicate tools are going to be down here. All right? So let's learn about this little replicate. So I put it, because I don't like to go all the way to the bottom of tools to get it, I put it in my cool new custom tools, right? And if you haven't used it, any of you have AutoCAD background in here? Anybody ever use Array in AutoCAD? This doesn't work like that. Okay? So this is how it works. You symmetrically rotate an object around. Let's say you grab the circular array. I got a chair. I'm going to click on the middle of this table, and there's my 4 chairs, right? Now, if I wanted, say, 6 chairs, I'm already in my input box up here. Can you all see where I'm at? I can type 6, and now I have 6 chairs, right? But I think I'm just going to do 4 and set it down. Good? Or let me do this one around this round table. I'm going to grab this chair, and I'm going to grab the middle of this table. Now, the only thing about this chair is it's kind of facing the wrong way. I'll be honest, I actually had to go kind of a ways to find a chair that was facing the wrong way. Most of them are going to face the right way, but every now and then you're going to get a chair that sort of faces this way or that way. You know, it's just
Is that from a catalog or something?
it is from a catalog. It is a manufacturer's symbol. It's not a FICA symbol. This is not a FICA chair. And
If you pick like a hexagon table or something that's a weird shape, not a square or circle, does it still match the shape of the table?
no, it's just so. Let's say that I want to no. Let's say we're going to put 6 around this one. It's just circular array. It's just going around a circle. And these chairs are going the wrong way. I'm going to hit my tab key. And let's say that the default rotation is 270. If I put in here 0, oh, that worked. Or I could have typed in here 180. So if you're playing Duck, Duck, Goose, right? So it's 0, okay? So most of the chairs are going to go the right way. But if you did want to put the chairs around a column or something, right, facing out, so that's how you're going to do that. And I also, what did I say? It was supposed to be 0, right? And I'm going to just go back to put 4. I also noticed that the legs for this, even though they don't look like it, they're going to hit the chairs, right? The legs of the table. So what I can do is tab down a couple more, and I can change the rotation. The default is 0, but if I just change it to 45, does that make sense, everyone? So I can do that. So like if it's always going to do a circular. So, and I was trying to do, like I had a wall that was curved and I wanted the chairs around it. So I basically did a giant circle and erased half the chairs, you know, to get it to go where I wanted them to go. Yeah. Yeah, and this is the thing, is that a lot of the manufacturers have put in some cool tools where you bring in their chair and their table and it does their thing, right? But this is like if I have a project matrix symbol and I have a table that's from SketchUp, right? So this is for like literally anything. So it could be anything around anything. So if you're using, and I'm not saying don't use the ones from the manufacturers because those are kind of nice. They do the rotate. And I think on some of you have like an oval table and it'll do the right number of chairs, right, Kim? So that's going to do, I can't do oval. I can only do circular. So sometimes that's going to be better. But if I'm using somebody else's chair, that won't do the oval table. It won't, I don't even know if you know, especially if it's a project matrix symbol, it's not even going to snap, right? So, got it? Again.
A little closer though, so that you can just change a few angles.
Yeah, so you get close, yeah, you do a circle and then you just scooch this guy out and this guy out and move these guys over. So you're halfway there, right? Okay, so like I said, it's a workaround. It's a way to get around some of the things that, that you need to do. And then you have a bonus chair over here. So, all right, so that's, and I just wanted to show that one because it's a great tool and it's new. And I know a lot of people, it's not really a not really a hack or a rebel thing, it's just a new tool that I like. Oh, the hack is that I put it in my custom tools, right? Let's see. And then, you know what else you can do? So like I'm using FICA. How many of you know what FICA stands for? What it means? Coffee break, right? So we're gonna have a coffee break. So FICA is a new catalog that Configura is using. We're gonna start using it for training. And it's sort of a generic catalog. So, and it's gonna be used for a lot of things. Kendra's gonna use it with her ambassadorship. And it's a pretty cool tool. And this drawing, by the way, is all drawn in FICA. So I didn't have any favorites in here, it's all FICA. So, but let's say I'm doing a lot of work with my new FICA catalog. I'm doing some space planning. I don't know really what product I'm gonna use. And I wanna be, I can use the custom tools, bless you. Check this out. If I take the panels right here and I just click on it and drag it out into space, it adds another tab. Y'all see that? And I'm going to rename this to, say, FICA. It's just a kind of fun word to say. For us, for you guys in Sweden, you say it all the time. You're used to it. And look what I just did. I just made my own FICA tab, right? How many of you do work surfaces and you need to add a cantilever? So you go back to your extension, you go down to work surface, you scroll all the way down, one freaking cantilever, right? What if you had work surface supports in here on this custom tab? Just grab it from here. Make sense? I was one day training someone and I kind of showed her this and I came back like 10 minutes later. She had all her product. She had like 6 tabs. She's like, I'm turning off this thing on the left and I'm just using this tab all the time. Because she can move it around. Right? And you can like minimize it, make it fairly small. What do you get? What do you think? Watch. Now, I need to add a panel in here, hover, grab, place. What do you think? Cool, huh?
And you can still turn on the workspace and have that small one by itself.
Yep. So then I can go up to, so Cate's fave, which didn't have this over here. And what do you think of that? So I have a kind of a completely different look. Make sense? And I can add all these different tabs and all different products, so things that you use a lot. And like I said, that's why I put that circular array replicate in there, because I don't like going all the way bottom. But I also put in here a tool that I use a lot, because I teach a lot of specials. My second tab is just custom shape. I use this one all the time, and so I like to just have it handy. If I need it, I type C, and up it comes. All right, it takes a second and a half, but then, you know, it stays where you left it. It does sort of snap into the side over here, but it doesn't like literally dock. It does sort of snap. I don't like to put it over on this side because then when I click on something, it's on top of whatever, you know, that edit box. So I tend to leave it about here on the right. And if I close it on the right, when I open it on the right, it'll come back to where I left it. Okay?
That only works for extensions, doesn't work with catalogs?
It works with anybody that has a tab, and it brings in the whole section. So if you're using, like, let's say National has, I don't know, who are you thinking, like Han or somebody like that, they have their own little tab. Yeah, that'll work with the tabs. As long as they have a tab in the component tabs, whatever section. Now, I can't put one command in there, right? I can't just put cantilevers in there. I have to put work surface supports. So how, anybody have an idea how I could just get one command in here? Want to guess? Feature request. All right? Feature request. If you want it, what do? You ask for it, right? They're not going to add it if you don't ask for it. But yeah, it does work with the catalog stuff.
Okay, just clarify, I didn't quite hear that question, but it's not that you had to create that extension in Vika. We can take any of our tabs right now and pull them over.
Yeah, I do it. When I teach Steelcase, I always go down, and the first thing I do is I say, you guys want panel mounted supports? Put that in, and I make a tab with all my support tools, and I rename it Work Surface Supports. And then I make another one with like tack boards or, you know, just whatever product I'm using a lot. And work surface support seems to be the one thing that I'm always going back to the tab to find. Does that make sense?
Does the window expand if you've got like, say, 10 tabs, or how does
Hey, you know, I've never really gone that far, but I think, do you have to scroll side to side?
like it's full now, so even if you just added one more, what does it do?
Let's find out. All right, let's find out.
Because you were saying like have a tack board and a certain board and
Yeah, it gives me a little, do you see that?
okay, so you want to limit it to more.
You might want to go up and down instead of side to side as much. And to get rid of them, there's a little X here, and you say, ta-ta, right? And it's actually, they're super easy, very intuitive, very PGC, as it were. That if you have something in the wrong spot, right? I want the rev cloud to be up higher, just drag it up to where I want it to be, right? Is that nice? So it's very intuitive once you start doing it. To rename them, you just right click and hit rename. Oh, there's a close other tabs. That might be kind of cool. I hadn't even thought about that one. So if you had 8 tabs or you just wanted to use the work surface supports, close, right? I never really thought about it, but there you go. Okay. Now, the shortcut for that is C, right? And I want to just kind of talk about, how's my time?
You have 17 minutes.
All right. The shortcut for that is C. If you want to make your own shortcuts, you're going to use a command called key bindings, right? The default is C. For a long time when it first came out, they didn't have a shortcut, but they've added it in. But there are other commands that you might want to use frequently. So like one of my favorite commands is undo. I'm old school AutoCAD. I've been using AutoCAD longer than about half of you guys have been alive. And in the old days, you just type U for undo. Does anybody ever in here type U for undo in AutoCAD? Oh, good. Some fellow typers, right? Some of you type other commands. First thing I do when I install CET on my system, which you don't do very often, but I tend to, is I found undo in here. And I went in here and I type U, and then I hit assign. So now on my computer, I just type U, and that's undo. It's not even U and enter, it's just U. Got it? So another one that I use a lot, how many of you use project symbols? Anybody? How many of you like going to the project matrix tab to get the catalog viewer to place one thing? So, and I think I might have learned this from you, Kendra, is go to project catalog viewer and make that P. Make that your P key. So then anytime you just type P, guess who comes up?
So I would like there to be a key binding for part search, because I use that one a lot.
Part search.
Yeah, so when you type in P, there's a part search, so if I know the part number, I can just type it in.
I usually do that from my calculation. I find it in the calculation, and then I click on the part, and it highlights it in the drawing, and then,
If I'm going to insert a project symbol,
oh, and that one.
Yeah.
Got it, got it, got it.
but there's
So,
no way to add a key binding that's not a command,
yeah, you're right.
which is kind of,
So that particular instance, you're going to need to talk to Project Matrix to add in here some sort of shortcut, because they can. They, of course, chose,
you can only make key bindings for what's showing.
and I'll be honest, there's one in here that I wish was in here, and a couple of you probably have already feature requested this, and that's, I wish there was a shortcut key for query. And that was already mentioned, that it's on the list of things to be added. I hope, I don't know, is it coming?
We're actually hoping to make every single thing a key binding. It's on our agenda, I don't know when.
Yay!
It's coming up.
So I have to tell you guys, does anybody know, like, had you ever heard the word key binding before? I'm going to tell you a quick little story. It's not supposed to be in here, but I have a 15-year-old son, right? And one day, a couple years ago, we're walking somewhere, and he's talking about a game he's playing, and I'm hearing da 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 da. I'm hearing da da da, and I set my key bindings da 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 da. I'm like, what? You did your what? He says, I set my key bindings. I go, well, what are key bindings, Liam? And he's like, oh, you set your LK and to be your guns, right? I'm like, oh, it's a gaming term. So we're going to set our guns, right? So we set our guns so that U is undo. Boom. I was like, I never even thought of it as, like, where did that term come from? Because I know ACAD PGP. But yeah, so you can only do the commands that are in here. Like I made freeze E, I made project symbols P. The commands you use a lot, those are the three I use the most: undo, freeze, and project symbols. There's a lot more in there. And you can, some people will go in and change position to M, especially those of you that are transitioning back and forth to AutoCAD, right? And you're always typing M for move, which is position in here, naturally, right? And the letter for position is R, right? Naturally. It totally makes sense to me. It probably means move in Swedish or no. R? Right. I do believe that position used to be, I don't know what it was. There was a time when it was another command that had an R in it.
Simply means that we were out of characters.
I'm sorry? What was it?
It simply means that we were out of characters.
No, you weren't, because it did used to mean something. It used to mean, position used to be called, like locate or there was something in it and it had an R, but it wasn't the first letter, it was like the third letter. So it was like arrange. It was arrange. It was. And so A was already copy and paste, because of course A is copy and paste. And so, right? And so it's for the A in copy and paste, because that's what the A is for. Someone else told me the A stands for another. And so it was arrange. And so the R was in arrange, right? And then they got divorced and had to change their name to position. So. I make up stories about everything. I'm sorry. If you haven't had training with me, you know this, right? So circular replicator. Real quick, I want to talk about custom shapes, just because it's kind of cool, not because it's new. And then I'll get on to my little last things. Custom shapes. Come on, type my C. Wait for it. 1002. There we go. Have you guys played with custom shapes? They're fun, huh? You get a little plywood template down here, right? And you can do a circle, super cool, right? And then you can like change the size of it and all that stuff. Did you know you can move this onto, if you move one shape onto another, the outside shape can get a hole? Yeah, isn't that groovy? And then you can actually even though it's sort of in here, come on, let me select you. Oh, this is new. Generally, I can select that inner circle, but oh, there we go. You can even change it while it's in there. And then you can give it like a thickness. Sweet. What do you think of that? So you can put a square in a circle in a square. You know, I mean, you get the point, right? You can put a custom shape in there. Isn't that great? There are two little rules about this little hole. One, both of the custom shapes have to be at the same elevation, right? So I had one at 0 and the other was at 0. If you have one at this height and one down here, you're not going to get a circle. You're not going to get a hole. Same elevation. The other is they have to have the same thickness. So those were both 0 thickness. So if you make one thick, make this one thick too, then you can get your hole. Make sense? So, and that's the one trick. I see people a lot of times, they'll draw on a work surface and trace the work surface, and it's up here, and then they draw a circle and it's down here. You need to move that guy up to here, and then it'll work. Sound good?
The best thing is to do all your holes
And then give it a thickness and then elevate it. Yeah, exactly. Sound good? So it's just a little cool one. And I love that shape tool. That's why I have it in my custom tools. All right, so that was fun, huh? Putting holes in things. Why not, right? All right, and then I'll put the furniture tabs, clean tools, good. All right, you ready for one little quickie? Again, a lot of us come from an AutoCAD background, and in AutoCAD, things snap a little differently. When you snap to the endpoint, you want that target, you want the crosshairs to be on the end. The one that's the closest to the middle is the one you snap to. CET kind of works the other way around. I think of them more like magnets, right? The strongest magnet is endpoint, and as you get in closer, the closer you get, you're going to get like midpoint, and then you get on curve, this ridiculous on curve. Everywhere is on curve, right? if you move out, you can get the endpoint, but sometimes there's just too much stuff going on. You just want to get the endpoint, right? So there is a very cool tool. So if I'm drawing in some walls, let me just put a wall in here. And I want to grab this endpoint. See, I'm going to get, when I get in close, I start getting on curve. Do you all see it? And for the life of me, and the programmers have explained it to me what on curve means. There's some sort of mathematical, I'm an interior designer, I don't do math. So on the edit, there is a graphical snapping. This is your O snap, graphical snapping. And you can see that I made mine X. Can you all see that? How can I tell? I went into key bindings and I made graphical snapping in X, so I can just type X. And I get this little dude, and I'm going to turn off on curve. In fact, because I turned it off last time, every time I open it, on curve is off. The only downside to this is that it always defaults to that upper corner, and that's where my edit box is. I wish it would default to the last place I put it. Feature request.
I just feature requests in the last session at EA custom tools.
That would be awesome. But see, if I put it over here and then I close it and I type X, it still goes back up there, and it's underneath. So look at that endpoint. Isn't that great? Endpoint.
So if you wanted to, you could delete or turn them all off except for in.
Exactly. You could turn them all off. You could turn, yeah. What do you think? So that's a pretty cool one, right? That's graphical snapping. And again, like I said, I made mine X, so when oh, here's something I just learned. Seems like I just drug over them. I guess not. But I never did tangent or extension or, I kind of like center every now and then. Good. So you can turn them on and off as you want, and then just close that guy out and, I hadn't played with that part. Okay, good. Graphical snapping, and again, use your key bindings, make it a shortcut, because what was it? What was the default function for it? Control Alt F. That's intuitive. Again, I'm kind of lazy / efficient. I don't like two finger, like I like one finger. One, make it super simple. All right, so my last couple things are my fun bonus tips. How many of you put task lights in your drawing from your extension, turned it on, because most of them can turn on, and then rendered? And what's it look like? Like little cones, right? Like you just put like track lighting or something underneath, right? Doesn't really render quite right. And we can do feature requests to the manufacturer and say, could you fix it? And they'll say that we need to add product. We got product issues. This is a rendering. So I'm going to show you how to make a cool task light. Oh, I forgot to say, in my other group, I forgot to tell them this. Right click. How many of you are used to AutoCAD right clicking when you're done with a command? Right? They're adding it in here. And I really don't know. I just discovered it accidentally one day. So I go down here and endpoint, and I'm going to just hit my up arrow. Endpoint, and oops, like I'm going to draw this wall, like to there, and I want to stop drawing walls, right click. Right click. You guys like it? I mean, it's a stupid little thing, but honestly, to be able to right click to, stop a command, it doesn't work for all the commands, so some commands need like a little right click to do something else, but most of them, I place a panel, right click to stop. And flicking it isn't bad, but right click to stop, I'm kind of liking that. Right? How many of you guys think that's a cool one? All right, good. Because I think it's so cool. I, again, chatted with my friend Peter. I'm like, when did they add that? That's like a secret thing no one told me about. 5 minutes. Okay, task light. Super quick. I'm sorry, we got off too late. So let me show you how to do this task light. I'm going to go in here to, we're going to go right up to the last second, you guys. So hang on. It's going to be a quick ride. So you do, like I have my furniture in here, right? I am going to use, in the 3D tab, I'm going to use the fluorescent light. Do you see this fluorescent light? And when you bring it in, it brings in light, all right? And I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to slip it over here kind of where I want it. And then right up here at the upper left-hand corner is the light settings. Now this task light is extremely bright. It's a ceiling light. So I'm going to turn it down. I usually put it at like 100 maybe, 75. It doesn't really matter, just lower. It is also up a little high, so I'm going to change the elevation, and this is some sort of metric thing, which I'm American, I don't know my metrics. So I've found that about 120 is about right, okay? Those of you that know your metric could tell me. And then it's 100 wide, whatever 100 is. Let's make it wider. And I'm going to move it up a little bit. Fabulous. And I usually put it as far away from the panel as possible so I get a soft shadow on the panels. Now you're like, this is going to look really stupid in my print, and it's going to look really stupid in my rendering, but there's a super cool thing right here. Show in 3D photo, show in 2D print, What do you think? So now you literally just have a light. I'm not going to render it because we're out of time, but you can see in the handout, it renders beautifully. It's a nice soft, it'll do the job. Make it a favorite, copy it around, insert it in every drawing for when you want to do a rendering with a nice task light, right? Okay, now I had one more bonus tip, but I'm out of time. So this is like a plug for going to the briefcase. You have to watch the video. But at the end, I'll show you how to do those basically with edit graphics. And I explode the symbol, and then I just kind of copy and paste what I want into place. All right? So I'm sorry I went too long on some of these. I shouldn't have told you the story about my kid. Any last minute questions? And we're done. So thank you guys.